Hello, you are welcome to Diplomatic Affairs. My name is Harriet Nartey. This is the only show that brings you happenings from the diplomatic community. Now today, I'm taking you all the way to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration. Now the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration is the state organ responsible for Ghana's external affairs. The minister, in consultation with the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has set up a special department known as the Candidatures Unit at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration to ensure a comprehensive and coordinated approach to the management of international positions at the highest level of diplomacy, of which Ghana is a member or observer. Now, on this episode of Diplomatic Affairs, I will be talking to the woman in charge of manning all this important and strategic department to learn more about the role of the Candidatures Unit in Ghana's diplomacy. That is the topic that we are going to be elaborating on today on Diplomatic Affairs. So there is a very, very interesting twist to this interview. My guest is a former beauty queen and a career diplomat who made headlines in the year 1994. Where were you in the year 1994? And has since used the platform for women's empowerment, diversity, intelligence, and leadership. You will get to meet her right after this break.
Hello, what are you doing Tuesday to Friday, 7:30 to 9 o'clock p.m. every day? You should be watching The Couch. I'll tell you why. On Tuesdays, we talk social issues, lifestyle, health, all those everyday issues that affect us in the big ways. Late Wednesdays are for book reviews. Thursdays are for the hard talk, those socio-economic, policy-oriented, political questions that demand for the tough questions to be asked. And personality profiling Fridays, when we get to know the stories behind the winning personalities we love. Inspirational story from inspirational personalities. Hey, listen, you really cannot miss The Couch with me, Amma, but still the only TV show with a heart.
Welcome back from that break. You're still watching Diplomatic Affairs with me, Harriet Nartey, and we are coming to you live from the studios of Pan-African Television at Abelenke in Accra. That is the capital of Ghana in West Africa. We are also broadcasting in 46 African countries. We do receive messages from those countries, and we are always excited that you are a part of the show. And we are also in some parts of Europe. And so we do get messages from Europe as well. We are streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube, and we have a number that is displayed on your screens. And so if you want to get interactive, you can do so by sending us regular text message, or you can do WhatsApp as well, and I'll read all your messages right here. Now today we are going to have a very interesting discussion, and our focus is going to be on the candidatures unit. The candidatures unit that is at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration. The ministry has many units that constitute to its operations, and so eventually we will be introducing the directors or the people who are in charge of those departments or the units, so you get to know what they do and exactly how they deliver, and just so to get Ghana to the top. But today we are talking about the candidatures unit, and my guest, like I said, there's a twist, a very important twist to this interview, so we'll talk about that. We'll start our conversation. My guest is ready. She's looking all radiant and elegant, and I can't wait to introduce her to you. I have with me Matilda Alumatu Osei Ajiman. Matilda Alumatu Osei Ajiman. Does the name ring a bell? Yes, I'm sure it does. Miss Ghana 1994, now a career diplomat. As a matter of fact, she's been in foreign service for 22 years and still counting. Matilda, Director, you're welcome to Diplomatic Affairs.
Oh, thank you so much, Harriet. I'm so happy to be here with you today.
And I am so honored to have you on my show.
Thank you.
So, before we talk about now, in focus, today will be the candidatures unit, which was recently launched, I think, on the 10th of September.
Exactly.
We were there, and so we will play the entire event or portions of the event, so our viewers can have an understanding or understand what we are trying to do here on Diplomatic Affairs today. Now, the topic for today is the role of candidatures unit in Ghana's diplomacy, or the role of candidatures in Ghana's diplomacy.
Yes.
Before we come to that, you have been behind the scenes doing so much. Yes, pushing Ghana forward and trying to get Ghana to the top. Let me ask you, life before 1994 and after 1994.
Thank you, Harriet. I see you've been digging.
It is my job today.
Before I say anything, I'd like to congratulate you and the Pan-African TV for what you're doing, bringing diplomacy to the doorstep of people, opening up diplomacy to make it more engaging and transparent. I think we need that. So I congratulate you and the Pan-African TV for this laudable initiative.
Thank you very much.
Well, life before, prior to Miss Ghana 94, well, I was just a normal lady like everybody else. I was in the university, the University of Ghana, then reading political science, and then I won Miss Ghana just 2 months after completing my my first degree. So I grew up, as I said, in a normal home. My parents were actually in the public service. My dad was a civil servant. My mother was a teacher with the Ghana Education Service. So I had that public service aura
around
in my home, exactly. And so it was a home that was quite very friendly, very engaging, tightly knit family, but very official too, because my dad would make sure that you did the right thing when it came to official setting. So I guess that has informed a lot of things that I have done over the years. And then, of course, Miss Ghana came in. That was a different form of public service for me. But when you take a look at it, I think that now that I'm in the foreign service, I see a lot of similarities between being a diplomat or a foreign service officer and being a beauty queen. You know, the visibility, the negotiation skills, the image that you bring to your country, and all those things have a lot of similarities, representing your country and all that, being an emissary. So I see a lot of similarities. I think that even meeting high-level personalities, for example, meeting the president of Cote d'Ivoire, then the first lady, Nelson Mandela, a towering figure in international affairs, those were all very wonderful moments for me. But life after Miss Ghana, I guess this is where I am now. I find myself in the Foreign Service. It felt like a natural transition for me, you know, from Miss Ghana before, during, and after. It felt like just a normal transition, growing up in a public service home, going into Miss Ghana, what it brought to me, and then going into the Foreign Service. So it felt as if things had just worked out naturally and taken its own natural course. And I guess the journey has brought me here. The journey still continues, but I'm happy with the career choice that I have embarked on.
Right.
Yes.
And I'm happy to have you on Diplomatic Affairs on the back of the career path you have chosen.
Thank you.
And so let me state that now, after Miss Ghana, one of the things I say to the people I meet out there in this industry or in this space is that we are all ambassadors of our country.
True.
I am an ambassador of Ghana because one of the things I ought to do as a citizen is to sell Ghana to the rest of the world and be proud of where I'm coming from. We know we are not perfect, but we are still working. No country is perfect.
True.
And so you were officially, you became an official ambassador of Ghana when you won Miss Ghana 1994. Will I be right to say that actually, because did you always know that you wanted to be a career service, even though you are proud of where you are today? Did you always know that, in a way, after your meeting with all these towering figures, like you said, that contributed to who you are, like the career path that you have chosen?
Well, you know what?
What did you want to be before foreign service?
When I completed my first degree, I actually had wanted to read law, specifically environmental law. That was what I had on my mind. And then, as I said earlier, probably all that I did during Miss Ghana days, a British diplomat called Tom Fletcher said, probably called, you could term it as citizen diplomacy. You know, all the philanthropic work that you do, bringing people's minds onto social issues, and the advocacy role that you play. So now I see that was diplomacy I was doing at the time, the citizen diplomacy, you know. So in 1997, I had wanted to join the Foreign Service, but of course something happened to turn the tide. So, as they say, man proposes, God disposes. So, in 99, I knew that this is what I really wanted to do. It felt like a natural course of events, as I said earlier. So, I'm sure that at the back of my mind, I still wanted to do something that would make me represent my country, that would make me sell my country. But, of course, Miss Ghana was an official one, but this is more official, if there's anything like that. So it was just a natural trend that just came my way. That happened, and I grabbed the opportunity. So environmental law, diplomat, I guess they are all quite good areas to move into. Right. Yes.
Now, walk us through your career path. I know you have served in various capacities, positions. Walk us through your career path.
All right. So, as you rightly said, I'm now the director of the candidature unit of the Foreign Ministry, and this entails a strategic attempt to place Ghana or Ghanaians in positions in international bodies. Prior to taking up this role as director of the candidature unit, I was serving at the Ghana High Commission in the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, with responsibility for the Republic of Ireland. And well, the posting in London was quite rewarding, if I may say so, because, you know, the UK is seen as the center of international relations, center of international politics, commerce, finance, and all that. And also, don't forget that our colonial relations, our ties with the UK date back to our colonial days. So it was very rewarding also because the UK is the how do you call it, one of our big missions, the flagship of Ghana's
development
exactly. So it was a good posting for me. Prior to London, I had served in Malta, which is also a Commonwealth country and an EU country, for a little over a year, as minister in charge of political and economic affairs and diasporan affairs, which was also good because our relationship with Malta had just started. So you had the responsibility to promote economic affairs, politics and all that. And I was glad that within a few months of me having gotten to Malta, we were able to organize a trade seminar with the Maltese. Like my High Commissioner, former High Commissioner in Malta used to say, Her Excellency Mercy Bampuado, she always used to say, Malta is a small country, but they do big things.
Right.
It's a very small country, an island country, but they are very enterprising from maritime issues.
We are looking forward to hosting the Maltese ambassador to Ghana on diplomatic affairs.
Yes,
we'll be talking about Ghana-Malta relations.
Oh, nice. He's a great person. I've known him for quite a while, since he was honorary consul. We worked quite well. So Malta was good. We were able to have a state visit from the Maltese president to Ghana when I was there, which was a very successful visit. And then prior to my serving in Malta, I was the deputy chief of protocol at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Of course, that meant dealing a lot with the diplomatic corps, making sure that Ghana is following conventions and rules as far as diplomacy and protocol is concerned, making sure that we are extending the highest level of relations to the diplomatic corps as far as their privileges and immunities are concerned. So that was also quite rewarding. And of course, I also served in the diplomatic mission in Washington, D.C., again promoting bilateral relations between Ghana and the United States. I served there as Minister Counselor in charge of economic affairs. So some of my responsibilities also had to do with the IMF and World Bank, you know, the international multilateral bodies in the United States. That was also rewarding.
You have a big portfolio. I don't think we'll be able to run through all of it.
Yeah, prior to that, my first posting, which was my baptism of fire, was my posting to Geneva.
Okay.
Where
Switzerland.
Yes, that was also very good. I mean, I handled quite a number of UN bodies there as well. Had the privilege of chairing a few African group committees on tobacco control, on migration of health workers. We organized the first ever executive board retreat of the WHO outside Europe, which was held in Ghana, which was quite good. And so at the Foreign Ministry, I had also served as the personal assistant to the chief director, worked in policy planning, worked in information and culture at the time. So I think I've had a varied, you know, departments or missions to serve in, and that, you know, all these have
shaped your career.
Shaped my career and informed a lot of things that I have done in the Foreign Ministry.
Interesting portfolio. That is big.
Thank you, Harriet.
That is big, and I am so humbled to learn that you have gone through these various departments or various positions to now be in charge of the candidatures unit.
Thank you.
Our focus is, like I said early on, is the candidatures unit.
Exactly.
So before the establishment of the candidatures unit,
yes.
Which department or unit was in charge of candidatures?
Right.
And we will talk about candidatures, what it means. But before that, did we have a department?
Yes, we did. Probably before I say that, I should put the role of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs as far as candidatures related into perspective. That will help us understand it better. So, well, you know, the Foreign Ministry, I think you said it earlier, the Foreign Ministry is in concert with our diplomatic missions under the leadership of the Minister, Honorable Sheila Koboche, is responsible for the conduct of our foreign policy. So we are the chief advisor, the Foreign Ministry is the chief advisor to government as far as the formulation of foreign policy is concerned, which means that we make recommendations on what options that Ghana should go for in the light of what's happening in domestic and international affairs. So that's what we do. But then the Foreign Ministry is also is the organ of state charged with conducting interactions with states and the multilateral organizations that you know we all know about. So in that regard, the candidatures unit comes in with the part that has to do with interacting with member states and multilateral organizations as far as candidatures is concerned. And by so doing, we try to promote the full representation of Ghana or Ghanaians in the staff establishment and decision making of these international or multilateral organizations. And we do that in three broad areas. That's country position. And for country positions, it means that Ghana is elected onto a body or a multilateral, that's a multilateral body, or and by so doing, there are set timelines for such elections where you put up your candidature. there are regional endorsements, there's a campaign period, and that is an example of what we saw during the United Nations Security Council elections, which saw Ghana attaining the highest marks. And then we have the elected expert country positions. As the name implies, these are experts who have, accomplished themselves in various fields of endeavor within the multilateral organizations. For example, we just had the election of Professor Alex Dodu, the Director General of the Ghana Standards Authority, as the President of the African Standardization Organization. That's the country expert election. Then we also had the Honorable Seti Champong, the Eastern Regional Minister, elected onto the commission, the UN Commission on Narcotic Drugs. Then we come to competitive recruitment. That has to do with, normal, you go online and then you apply online. You are probably invited to take up an exam, or they invite you for an interview, competence-based interview. So those are the three areas under which we are promoting the full representation of Ghana or Ghanaians in international organizations. So now to your question. So along these lines, there were about 4, if I'm not mistaken, or 5 bureaus that were handling candidatures prior to that. Of course, we had the Multilateral Bureau, which was handling candidatures related to the multilateral organizations. We had the Africa Regional Integration Bureau that was handling candidatures with the African bodies, let's say ECOWAS, AU, and other African bodies. Then we had the ECOWAS, the African Bureau. I talked about the regional integration handling. Then we had the Africa Bureau handling bilateral candidatures. And then we had the Legal Bureau handling candidatures of legal bodies. And even at times we had administration coming in to handle the competitive recruitment bit. So it was scattered
bits and pieces
all over. But of course, the Honorable Minister, Honorable Sheila Yakoboche, took the initiative to have a dedicated unit that would bring together all these bits and pieces under one umbrella, so that we have a unit with an independent charge. It's a standalone unit that will handle all the issues related to candidatures, which I've outlined earlier. So we had about 4 or 5 different bureaus handling candidatures, and I think the Honorable Minister decided that it would be better, as we heard one of our senior officers said during the launch, that it now gives a scientific approach to handling matters related to candidatures.
Okay, so before we even we go deeper into the candidatures, so what it represents and its operations, we have a video from the launch which took place on the 10th of September recently, and we were there to cover. So let's just show that, and then when we come back, just so you will have an idea of what we are talking about. So when we come back, we will elaborate further on the candidatures unit.
This is indeed an exciting time for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, as your presence here underscores the confidence that you have in the Ministry's ability to cultivate and facilitate Ghana's candidatures at different levels within the multilateral setting, thereby enhancing our global image. Today, we are gathered to witness the launch of a unit whose identity had been thought about and discussed years ago. As the saying goes, it's been a long time coming. The vision has been finally birthed by our Minister, Honorable Sheila Yakoboche, and this is a historic and proud moment for the Foreign Ministry. We are witnessing a foreign policy objective being fulfilled by the strengthening of our interactions with states and multilateral organizations. Indeed, this is a testimony of our support for a rules-based system and to multilateralism. Furthermore, we are here today to, among other initiatives, create awareness about the purpose and functions of the candidatures units of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, its achievements so far, the effective collaboration with diverse multi-stakeholders, and ways to further strengthen our mandate. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the work of the candidatures units could not have progressed without our collaborators. Therefore, we are delighted to see such a diverse group of officials joining us today in person and virtually. From the Presidency, Ghana's diplomatic missions abroad, other staff of this ministry, Ghana's ministries, departments, and agencies, the diplomatic community in Ghana, including the developmental partners, the academia, the private sector, civil society, and the media, to mention a few. Indeed, processing of candidatures requires vision, the cultivation of reliable and strong partnerships facilitated among the diverse groups mentioned. We are profoundly grateful to you for the support and for being part of our success stories, which will be enumerated by the Honorable Deputy Minister. We look forward to further hearing from a few of the officials we have collaborated with on our activities so far. Ladies and gentlemen, it is even most gratifying when we engage with officials of our African region, as well as our development partners, who cannot but help commend Ghana for the bold initiative taken in setting up the candidatures unit, a few of whom have attested to the fact that their respective governments had considered the establishment of a similar unit, some probably over 3 decades ago. However, the dream had not materialized. Need I say more, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen? The only thing left to say now is to congratulate our Minister, Honorable Sheleayo Koboche, for the foresight and visionary leadership in establishing the candidatures unit.
In the view of the Council, this unit will go a long way to promote the representative of Ghana in international and regional bodies and ensure that qualified Ghanaians are identified, assisted, and afforded the opportunity to serve the international community at all levels through the work of this unit. It is our opinion that the establishment of this unit will end the ad hoc approach of the past and replace it with a more scientific database and a coordinated around-the-clock approach for optimal outcomes.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the government of Ghana, under the leadership of the President of the Republic, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has championed the initiative for a dedicated structure for managing candidatures in a comprehensive and coordinated manner. The candidatures unit was therefore established to undertake the critical function in the staff establishment and broad representation of Ghana and Ghanaians in the staff establishment and decision-making bodies of the various international organizations. Against this backdrop, the candidatures unit was established in September 2020 and is tasked with the promotion of the effective contribution of the country's human capacity to development issues regionally and internationally by promoting full representation of Ghana in international bodies of which we are members. Such representations may be found in 3 broad categories. 1, elected country positions. 2, elected or appointed national expert positions. 3, competitive recruitment to work in an international organization. Consequently, the candidatures unit is a fully functional and standalone entity tasked to ensure organizational coherence on all matters related to candidatures. The unit provides strategic focus to Ghana's candidatures, facilitates the recruitment of Ghanaians into international organizations, and leverages candidatures as a strategic tool in Ghana's diplomacy.
Right, so that was the launch of the candidatures at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, and we saw the Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs and Ghana's Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Honorable Kweku Amprechum Sapong, and also Ambassador Cabral Blay Amihie, Vice President
of the Council
on Foreign Relations Ghana, right,
yes.
who has been on our show. And so they were speaking at the launch of the candidatures at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration. Now that we have a clear idea, our numbers are active, or the number is active, so you can just reach out to us via your phones. Regular text messages can come through, and we also have WhatsApp. If you're on WhatsApp, you can send us a message, and we are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube as well, so you can watch. You don't have to be by your TV sets if you find yourself indisposed to watch us on your TV set. Now let's talk about the achievements of this unit before we even come to how significant this unit is to Ghana's foreign diplomacy or Ghana's diplomacy. Let's talk about the achievements. You mentioned one earlier, the UN, Ghana's appointment to the UN Security Council. And so let's talk about the achievements since the setup of this unit, the candidatures unit.
All right. Okay, so I did mention the non-permanent seat on the UN Security Council, which was a vigorous campaign led by the Honorable Minister, Honorable Shelley Koboche, which yielded very positive fruits. As I'm sure most people have read, Ghana had the highest marks, 185 out of 190 votes. And it was a very electrifying moment for us when we were at the UN in June. Ghana has also been elected to the Executive Committee of the World Food Program. And this was also this year. Ghana was elected actually by acclamation to serve on the Executive Board of the World Food Program. We were equally elected, Honorable Seti Champong was elected onto the commission, UN Commission on Narcotic Drugs. This also happened this year. And then we saw Professor, I mentioned earlier, Professor Alex Dodu, the Director General of the Ghana Standards Authority, being elected as the President of the African Standardization Organization. Then most recently, Ghana was elected onto the Council of Administration of the Universal Postal Union. So all these elections or our memberships of these various bodies that I've talked about were facilitated in tandem with our missions abroad, with relevant ministry departments and agencies, with a lot of the diplomatic missions here. So, of course, there was a lot of trade-off, horse trading, garnering support, brokering reciprocal support arrangements and all that. So there's a lot of work that goes into it. The assumption is that maybe, for example, the UN Security Council, Ghana was the West African candidate. But there are times when you think you've secured endorsements from your regional group, only to get there to realize that although people have pledged their support for you, the numbers are read out and you probably haven't made it.
So you need to campaign.
The campaign vigorously. Is a vigorous one. Vigorous campaigning. That's what I said. The Honorable Minister led the Security Council campaign in New York, virtual events, meeting with heads of missions here. Various people came into the picture.
So this means a lot goes into these appointments.
A lot of work.
It just doesn't happen.
No, you have to really go out there and get your acts together. At the Security Council, we were supposed to garner at least 127 votes, two-thirds majority, out of the 190 countries that voted. And so if you assume that you are the endorsed candidate and you sit back, you might get there only to be surprised by what will happen. So we didn't take things for granted. We left nothing to chance.
Right.
Everybody bought into the idea that we needed to succeed. And so it's been the same trend with all the other bodies that we've been elected onto most recently. It took a lot of work, contacting the heads of diplomatic missions here, sending messages to our missions out there to also do their bit, reach out to their host authorities, reach out to even members of the diplomatic corps in their various areas of accreditation. And then the ministries involved, let's say the World Food Program, that is under Ministry of Agriculture. Our mission in Rome comes in as well. So you need to perform that collaborative role between the different stakeholders and ensure that you're all on the same page. Otherwise, if you assume things, and then you will definitely be found wanting. So Our missions are always very much on top of the issues. Our mission in New York was also very much involved with these elections for the World Food Program, on the UN Commission on Narcotic Drugs, our mission in Geneva. So at times, there are different missions that come on board. New York, Geneva will come in probably when it comes to even membership of Human Rights Commission, because human rights is based in Geneva, but the elections will be held in New York. So if you realize that New York will be playing a major role, you need to get all of them together to come onto the same table. So there's a lot of strategy involved, a lot of strategizing. There are times when you are extending your support to other countries, then the scientific bit comes in, because then you need to find out what's the relationship between Ghana and that country. Is it an African country? Because obviously, for good neighborliness, you need to look out for your neighbor, an African country. If it's outside Africa and there's no African there, what is the relationship between you and another country that you might want to vote for? Do they have the expertise in the areas that they are asking you for support for? If there are 3 or more other countries, which countries have more expertise in those areas? Which countries are likely to fight our cause or look out for our cause when you support them in these various bodies, organizations? So there's a whole other comes into play.
Reciprocity and all of that come into play.
Exactly.
Now, let me find out from you. Now, you mentioned that before the setup of the candidatures unit, we had other bureaus playing, vital roles in Ghana's appointment to the international stage or platform or positions. How much have we missed, or how much have we lost in the absence of the candidatures unit, even though we had these bureaus who were performing the role of the candidatures? How much in the absence of, because this was recently done, so in the absence of the candidatures unit, how much have we lost as a country?
Well, I wouldn't say we've lost that much, because those bureaus were also up to the task. But of course, when other issues are on their table, you would expect that there might be a bit of a delay through no fault of theirs, because other things are there to be considered. So it's the fact that the heads of missions here can reach out to you directly, find out how their candidatures are progressing. The fact that you can have collaboration with the MDAs, because we have had what we call an external consultative mechanism with all the MDAs we deal with, over 20 MDAs we deal with when it comes to candidatures. We have had that, and it's strengthening the bond. So, of course, I will quote something from one of the solidarity statements that one MDA made, that before the candidatures unit was established, there were times when they missed out on what they needed to do before securing some positions. And for that reason, there were a few strategic candidatures or positions that they were not able to secure, because they had missed out on that strong and close collaboration. So I know for a fact that the other bureaus were pushing our candidatures. But I think that the bonds and the avoiding of the bureaucracy has been reduced. It's been cut down to a barest minimum. So now you have direct contacts with missions, direct contacts with the MDAs, direct contacts with the diplomatic mission out here. And they know that they are talking to you only about candidatures. Because if you take multilateral has so many other issues on their table. They have, other multilateral matters that they need to handle. So now our collaborators know that, look, I come to you, this is the go-to area for candidature. So I think that the ministry has been up to the task. We haven't lost that much, except that it's now made things work faster, avoided a lot of bureaucracy, and easier.
Right.
And most of the missions have said that.
Which would secure us many slots in the future.
We are hoping so.
To get Ghana to the top. Now, let me ask, do foreign ministries worldwide have strategically have a department that champions their interest in this area?
What I'll say is that every country that is part of the multilateral setup would definitely have an entity to promote its candidatures. What I don't know is if the structure is the same as ours. And then what I can also say, as I said during the launch, is that we've had various heads of missions have meetings with us and say that, look, this is a very novel idea. I wish that my country could do something like that. My country had considered having a structure like this, but we haven't been able to do it. How did you do it? We are grateful. Now it makes things easier on us. We can just come to you and check on what's happening with our candidates. So I'm sure that every country that's part of the multilateral setting will have a structure like that in place. May not be similar to ours. And most people are glad that we have a dedicated unit with an independent charge to handle these matters. And of course, we have in turn even asked other development partners for best practices, because at times you want to know what they may have done. What, as we always say, early expressions of interest always work in your favor. If you want to seek membership on a body, you have to start way years in advance. So we have to learn from best practices and make sure that we are also towing that line and you're looking out for
very
candidates. It is, yes.
Very competitive.
Yes.
Very competitive. Right. So let me find out from you now to the topic for today's interview. What is how important or significant is the candidatures to Ghana's diplomacy?
Okay. Well, as I said earlier in the beginning, the unit was set up to promote the full representation of Ghana and Ghanaians in the decision-making bodies of these international organizations. So the decision-making bodies. Now, let me bring you back to the theme of the launch of the candidature, which is advancing inclusive and sustainable development through quality Ghanaian human resource at the international level. Now, therein lies the strategy. Because when you talk about inclusive, sustainable development, international level, you are referring us to Ghana's strong support for multilateralism and Ghana's strong support for a rules-based international order. And that is outlined in our foreign policy objectives, promoting a just and equitable economic and political, social order, promotion of international law treaty obligations, promotion of settlement of disputes through pacific or peaceful means, and then adherence to the principles enshrined in the Charter of the UN, ECOWAS, AU, Commonwealth. So when you look at the theme for our launch and tie it in with these principles of our foreign policy, that is our diplomacy at play, because the principles undergird our diplomacy. But of course, candidates, you know, when our nationals are working in international organizations, of course, I'm sure the foreign minister expects you to be patriotic enough, to look out for our cause. Right. Of course, not the Ghanaian cause alone, because you can't do it alone. In multilateralism, as the word seems to suggest, 3 or more countries, you come together and you seek common interests. Right. So we are expecting that our compatriots can even liaise with, look for the African group position, look for the G77 and China position, and then come together. You are sitting at a table that you can propose normative shifts in policies. You can talk about economic security, poverty reduction, you name it, trade issues, and now COVID, which is the main, this is the kid on the block
issue, right?
Yes, so you can come together and fight a similar cause. So when Ghana's candidature out there, let's say I keep going to the Security Council because for me that was the most recent big thing. Our diplomats, our purposive and hardworking diplomats, are the ones who push their agenda. Of course, they are out there, they know what our strategies are, but that will be done in collaboration or in tandem with other countries so that we come to a common position. And with sustainable development and all the issues that are going around in the multilateral world, as I said, you can't go it alone. So when we put our acts together and with like-minded groups, I think that we can always achieve socio-economic development, which is what diplomacy should be doing. Now, our compatriots out there in international organizations, some of them have proved themselves, you know, very useful. I mean, thankfully, we now have Ambassador Mrs. Kobi, who's in peace building department. We have our former Minister Honorable Hannah Tete, who's in charge of the African Union department, the UN Secretary General Special Representative. So all these compatriots who are out there will definitely play the African card. And if you want things to work better, I think you go with the African positions. Of course, we're talking about pushing things to achieve peace and security, which is very important. The sustenance of peace and security is a sine qua non for attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals. So Ghana's membership of the Security Council will allow us to push that agenda. And of course, for peace and security to attain root, you need these officials to help out. Now, even if you take a look at the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, without peace and security, that won't work. So, for somebody like Professor Alex Dodu at the helm of standardization, we are sure that Africa can now become industrialized, and then we deal with our development partners to attain socioeconomic development. So, it's the candidatures, as far as our diplomacy is concerned, it ties in well with a multilateral setting, with our belief in the multilateral system, and using our human resource to promote multilateralism, peace and security, sustainable development in all these areas. So when it comes to bilateral engagements as well, as far as candidatures concerned, of course, when you go out to your partners or to the bilateral engagement bit, you are selling Ghana, and you are looking out to tell your opponent, not opponent, but your partners, that look, Ghana, you are selling Ghana, you are telling them that look, we believe in the rule of law, our diplomacy is entrenched, is very strong. You are talking about our democracy and all that. So in that way, you are enticing your development partners to be part of our economic development. So our diplomacy, which is aimed at economic diplomacy and all that, it means that our diplomats, our compatriots, those who are promoting our cause out there in international organizations, our foreign service officers are promoting our country, and by that our diplomacy will continue to be strengthened.
Well, our diplomacy will continue to be strengthened. I was going to ask this question, but it looks like you've just answered it. I was going to ask, to a larger extent, how critical is Ghana's diplomacy to the socio-economic development of our country? And so that has been outlined in your explanation. So, as and when do we have vacancies available? I know it's very, I think maybe 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, it depends, right?
It does.
So as and when, and are we always given the opportunity, or it is that competitive that you still have to lobby, campaign, and get, you know, all the votes that you need to get to that place?
Yes. Well, it's still very competitive. I mean, if you are looking for a country position or a national expert position, of course, other countries are also in there trying to compete with you. So what we do is that our diplomatic missions are our ears and eyes on the ground. They undertake the intelligence work, let you know that there's a vacancy. They undertake short, medium to long-term intelligence work to let you know that these vacancies are going to be coming up soon, based on Ghana's role in, let's say, in agriculture or in narcotic control and all that. We think that this is a position that we can be looking out for. So they let us know, and then we intend process it in collaboration with the ministries, departments, and agencies here. So Foreign Affairs will collaborate with a ministry that probably handles human rights, which will be Ministry of Justice, and then we come to a conclusion. But then, let's say if there's a position coming up in the Human Rights Council in the next 2 years, and we think that Ghana wants to take up that position, then we need to start strategizing now, you know, and making sure that we've enticed as many member states of the Human Rights Council or the United Nations Human Rights Commission early enough so that we can take up that position. So as and when the vacancies are coming up, our missions let us know. So it's always better, as I said, early expressions of interest are always very important. For the UN Security Council, which position we got, it took our mission, of course, in New York. It took the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and then other ministries, defense, interior, because Security Council, as you know, is charged with the maintenance of international peace and security. And in that area, we touted our peace building operations and all that. So there are some ministries and agencies that are well grounded in those areas. So we had to reach out to all of them early enough to take up that position. Of course, in collaboration, see what happens is that you need to also look at the regional endorsements. Before you do that, you need to probably have some little negotiation with the ECOWAS, with ECOWAS or the African Union Commission to be sure that there's no competing interest. That, in fact, that's almost always the first point of call, because you don't want to be the one to spoil the party and present your candidature when another country is in there, which seems to be more likely to get a position, or that the African Union may have given the support to a particular country. So the first point of call will be ECOWAS, will be the African Union, but it's always better to start putting up your candidature at least 2 years in advance, to be able to garner the support. So the timelines depend on the body that you're dealing with.
What is the future for the candidatures?
The future looks good.
Now that it is here to stay.
Yes. The future looks very good. It looks good because it's not a strategic exercise. We talk to our missions early enough. We have something that we call an internal coordinating mechanism, which has to do with our missions and other bureaus within the foreign ministry. So with that, we are trying to make sure that everything that is done, we are able to take advantage of a lot of the positions out there. Together with the external consultative mechanism, which has to do with the MDAs, together with the internal consultative mechanism put together, that will strengthen Ghana's bid to secure positions in international organizations. And with even all the commendations that the Honorable Foreign Minister has received from member states of so many international bodies, you can tell that it's going to flourish. The unit will flourish with the support of everybody, our missions, the diplomatic missions here, the MDAs. It looks good. It looks good.
Wow. Okay, so that's a lot of information. Now I have a clear picture of what the candidates does, and I'm happy to learn that from you. Let's move to the law. Now, research has shown that women or the foreign service is one of the professions that have the low representation of women. What's your view on this?
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Before I probably try to address, I think that some of the things I've militated against women, we all know, taking up leadership positions, it's probably cultural. Not probably, it is cultural. I mean, family, marriage, and all that. And I think that the main issue should be, what is the foreign ministry doing to address these concerns or the statistics that we have? Are we putting in measures in place so that women can take up positions? Are the women themselves up to the task to take up these leadership positions? And that, I say yes. The foreign ministry, right now as I sit here, I'm sure that the Honorable Minister, Honorable Shedaya Kobuchi, came in to probably achieve parity, some form of parity, at least 50-50.
And she's really working hard towards that.
But right now, I can proudly say that the numbers against men and women have now taken a higher percentage. But of course, what we are still pushing for, I'm sure the Honorable Minister will still be pushing for, is for the women to take up positions in the higher echelons of the ministry. But the numbers that we have suggest that the percentage for women is higher for that of men. So I think that the Honorable Minister will be glad to see that we have tried to prove our worth as far as work is concerned. So we need to take up more leadership positions in the foreign ministry. But so far, I think that it's been quite encouraging.
Okay.
Yes.
So far, we need to take up more leadership roles as women. But so far, it's been very encouraging.
It has.
I can tell. What would be the one thing that we should teach young girls?
Oh.
Yes, because you now, Matilda, the reason I'm asking you this question is because you are one of the many women out there who are trailblazing
Thank you.
in their various positions and who are doing a lot in the contribution of Ghana's development. Most often, we don't get to see these women for the young ones to emulate, for the young ones to role model. And so that becomes a problem. They end up role modeling the wrong ones. And I think that it's about time they, avail themselves for these young girls to see them and say, I want to be like Matilda. She's in the foreign service. I want to be like this person. She's in the medical department. I want to be like this person. She's, practicing law. These are the women we want to see. Like I said, we need more women at the front seat so they can be visible enough for our young girls to want to emulate and, of course, grow up to aspire to be like them. That's why I'm asking you, what would be that one thing as a woman leader? What would be the one thing that you think that we should teach our young ones, the young girls?
Well, these days, and I think there's been a lot of it in the news, the social media, the social media effect on everybody, on our children, on young women, the social media body type that everybody thinks they should look like. I think that is probably having its negative effect on our women, on our young girls, because they feel that I need to look a certain way before I probably can even...
I can be accepted.
Thank you, exactly. But no, I mean, I was talking to a few of my women friends, and I was talking about the fact that we need to reach out to women who think that for some reason they don't look a certain way that has been portrayed out there. I mean, between you and I, we all know that when we get home and we
take all of this off.
Exactly. And we unwind, you are just like any ordinary person.
Yes.
Diplomacy, those of us in the foreign service, we are ordinary people. We are so ordinary that's why we can relate to the work that we do. That's why we can go out there. And when we are selling Ghana, we know that, look, we have also gone through a few of the things that will allow us to sell our country. So I think our women or our young girls should remain confident just the way you look. Because no matter how you look, you can be whoever you want to be. Once you put your mind to it, once you focus on the positives, you will be just fine. So let's do away with the social media body type, with the idea that I need to look a certain way before I can go into this career, before I can do what I want to do. I believe that once our women remain confident and forget about low self-esteem, because that's also an issue, you need to just bring yourself out of your shell and make sure that you have some confidence to push yourself to where you want to be. So the sky is the limit. Don't worry about what is being put out there. Don't worry about the stereotype of
don't be pressured.
Yes, the stereotype or the look that people have set out for you. Just do your thing. Remain focused in a positive way.
Okay.
And I think that our young women should be okay.
Well, thank you so much, Matilda.
Thank you.
Time is up.
Oh.
All too soon. We have to wrap up. We have to go. And we are very much excited to have you on Diplomatic Affairs.
Oh, thank you.
I think the next time I would have to get you to my boss to do a personality profile sort of interview with you so you can talk about all the other things. Given the fact that this was, just about diplomacy, your office, and of course the candidatures unit created at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Thank you so much for coming.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
I know that I will get to see you again on the platform.
Yes, I'm grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. Right, so all too soon, this is where we draw the curtains on today's edition of Diplomatic Affairs. It's been very exciting, lots of information to share, so much to learn from the director candidates coming from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration. Like I said, subsequently we will be bringing you the various heads or the directors that are manning the various bureaus so we can get to talk to them, understand the operations of the ministry, Ghana's foreign ministry. So once you are glued to us and you are always following us, if anything happens in the diplomatic community, we are your #1 go-to place for that information. And so Please stick and stay with us all the time. Subscribe and follow to our social media platforms and get to know everything that is happening in that area. My guest has been Matilda Alomatu Osei Ajuman, the Director Candidates from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration. I thank you so much for your time, and we really appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you same time next week. Enjoy the rest of our programs. Good evening.
This is indeed an exciting time for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration. As your presence...
Hello, what are you doing Tuesday to Friday, 7:30 to 9 o'clock p.m. every day? You should be watching The Couch. I'll tell you why. On Tuesdays, we talk social issues, lifestyle, health, all those everyday issues that affect us in the big way.